Let's start 4-6 squares and square roots. Please, during this video, take some notes and then you'll bring those notes to class tomorrow. Let's start with the definition. So a square root means there's one of two equal factors of that number, which is basically saying the same number and you need it twice. So it's the same number squared, and that is the square root of a number. So here's an example. 4 times 4, if I were to write it with an exponent, it would be 4 squared, and 4 squared is 16. Square root means we're going to go the opposite direction. So we're going to start with the square root of 16, and we want to find what number multiplied by itself will get me 16. So what is the square root of 16? Well, I could rewrite it. Isn't 4 squared equal to 16? That means the square root of 16 is just 4. Okay, because 4 is one of the two equal factors, so you actually need two of them in order to make the 16. Ooh, there we go. So here's a list, and these are all called perfect squares. The square root of 1, well, 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4, so the square root of 4 is 2. 3 times 3 is 9, so the square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 16 is 4. The square root of 25 is 5. The square root of 36 is 6. 7 times 7 gets you 49. 7 is the square root of 49. 8 is the square root of 64. 9 is the square root of 81. And 10 is the square root of 100. So you can see if I were to square them all, okay, I would get 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, and the same would be true for the other column. These are the numbers that are in that square root. So that's why they are called perfect squares. Okay, so the answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 4 times 4 is 16, we know that. But what is negative 4 times negative 4? Well, two negatives, if you remember Sleepy Man or Sleepy Bear. If I have negative 4 times a negative 4, that gets me a positive 16. So when I have the square root of 16, my answer could be positive 4, this case right here, or it could be negative 4, this part right there. So I'm actually going to write the answer. Now this is the cool part. You can write plus or minus 4, and that's how you read it, plus or minus 4. So let's find the two square roots. Two square roots, meaning one of them is positive and one of them is negative. 49, what number multiplied by itself gets me 49? That would be 7. It could be positive 7 times 7, or it could be negative 7 times negative 7. So the answer is plus or minus 7. For 100, okay, what's the square root of 100? That's what you're asking yourself. And it is 10. Could be positive 10 or it could be negative 10. The answer is plus or minus 10. Okay, we're taking the square root of 49 to get plus or minus 7, the square root of 100 to get plus or minus 10. Now let's apply it to a word problem. The area of a square is 64 inches squared. I read this as inches squared, remember? What is the length of one side? So if the area, everything inside of my square, is 64 inches squared, that means that I want to find the length of one side. Well, the area of a square is just length times width, but in a square it's the same thing. The sides are all equal, so I know that my area is 64 and my sides are the same. S is for sides. So I want to find the square root of 64. And the square root of 64 is positive 8 or negative 8. But length can never be negative, so it's 8. I'm going to go back in the problem, and my units were inches squared, so the length of one side is 8 inches. Because if I have 8 inches on one side, 8 inches on the other, my area becomes 8 times 8, which is 64. Inches times inches is inches squared. Let's try a second one. A square icon has 625 pixels. How many pixels tall is the icon? Again, it's a square, and everything inside the area is 625 pixels. So the length of one side, if S is side, would be the square root of 625. So now I'm going to use my critical thinking. I need to figure out what number multiplied by itself will get me 625. So 10 times 10 is 100. That's nowhere near close enough. 20 squared would be 400. That's too small. 30 squared would be 900. Okay, so I need a number somewhere between 20 and 30. Let's try 25. And I'm going to actually multiply it out because I can't do that one in my head. 125, 10, 5, 5, 2, and 625. That worked. So the square root of 625 is 25, and I'm talking about pixels, so the answer is 25 pixels. There's 25 pixels on this side, 25 pixels on the other side. Okay, please do the Google form numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 from your textbook, and bring your notes that you took during this video to class tomorrow. Thanks everyone. Good night.